Sorry, guys. Sorry for the lateness. If you're watching later, it doesn't matter. If you're watching live, it does, but most of you watch later. But I'm just saying, if you're watching live, we're sorry. We try to be on it as close to 1 o'clock as we can. Today, I had to create like 4 different.
Is that a hoodie?
This is a hoodie. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
It's a Mark Tardif hoodie.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is if you ever wonder what Eklund looks like when he's roaming around the supermarkets at 2 a.m. doing his shopping, this is basically it.
Yeah, you remember that hijacker from the 70s, D.B. Cooper?
Oh yeah, something like that. I know.
He sort of looked like that.
I got that look going on. Hey Russ, we're live. Sorry about the delay.
Okay.
We had Google. So if you're watching this show right now, I have to go back and delete all these other versions of this show that probably will pop up at some point before I could actually get Google Hang. I don't know, something going on with Google Hangouts yesterday and today.
If anybody's watching from Google, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean,
the dog's not happy.
Jenna's pissed off. Aka's pissed off.
I mean, think about it. How dare you give us a free service that allows us to broadcast shows like this every day and post the internet for nothing? How dare you do that and not be absolutely perfect? I don't know. It's still, I mean, I'm not going to be mad at Google. I mean, gosh, this is an incredible thing that we get to do.
You're not mad at anybody. You never get mad.
No, that's the problem.
Well, I'm mad at you, Russ. I'm really mad at you. No, you've pissed me off this year. No. This is what I get trolled about all the time. People are always like mad at me. They're like saying, "Oh, you say that's a great trade all the time. You say it's a great trade. It's a great." I'm like, well, I can see why they made it.
Me and Mike to be negative about everything, and you don't have to be negative.
I don't need. Yeah, we have Mike for that, right? You don't need me.
The epicenter of negativity. Thank you.
Right.
Those Sparks and the Maple Leafs killed me last night.
Oh darn.
Yeah, it's my own fault for taking them in DraftKings, but
that shootout
loss was the reason I did not place.
As I referred to it, it was a come-from-ahead loss by the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Dan, let's do DraftKings tonight. I've got to get back to it.
Okay, send me a link. I'm in.
All right, let's do it because I haven't done it for a while. And I miss it because it actually was really it was a ton of fun.
It really is, especially when you get a bunch of people together.
Oh yeah. We really need a Hockey Buzz one that we could do. Like, it'll be so much fun.
Yeah, the only problem stopping me from doing it is money.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that stopped me too. But I still have some. I still have some for my initial, deposit. I still have money in there, so and you can do cheap ones, Although I like doing the ones that are a little bit more money but less people.
Right, I agree.
That's the ones I like to do.
You have a better chance of winning $500 than you do $50,000.
Yeah, like I like knowing I can win $500 in a night versus maybe I can win $35, whatever. It's still fun. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it's
But it's easier to beat 300 people than 30,000 people.
Precisely, and that's and that's the deal. Our friends at the at gameofstats.com too. That's another thing. I don't know if you guys have played around with it at all. It's a weekly game, but yeah, definitely. There's no more invites right now. They're in beta, but they're trying to be like a DraftKings for just hockey. And but since there's a lot daily games are sort of controversial right now and everything like that, so they're doing weekly games for now, but they might do daily games eventually once all the laws shake down in the various states. But let's get to it, eh? We got some things to talk about. On my blog today is about the 5 best trade transactions of this trade deadline, in my opinion, based on very, very early results. But there are still some signs I think you can look at that are interesting to watch. So here we go. We'll start the show. It's Tuesday, March 8th. Hello, Hockey World. It's Tuesday, March the 8th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Dan Petru.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I am Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday in the afternoon to sort of fill you in on the hockey comings and goings, the goods and the bads, the ups and the downs, the goals and the saves, the not called penalties and the called penalties. I don't know. Today I'm wearing my honorary Quebec Nordique shirt just because I really don't want this to be true that the Nordiques have been excluded from expansion, or I did talk to a lot of people yesterday about this because one of the things I sort of think I'm more tied in than most are these kinds of things, like the lockout, like this kind of stuff. And I've been hearing from the very beginning that Quebec was getting a team. So the more people I talked to yesterday, the more I started to believe the things that you were kind of talking about yesterday, Russ and Dan and Mike, that they might just be getting a non-expansion team.
Right.
I did some
Um,
tire kicking last night too, and that's what it seems like.
yeah, it seems like I don't think the NHL has any desire to keep Quebec from an NHL team.
I
This
was
isn't.
told I was told by someone who has knowledge of the situation. I guess that's the best way to
Yes,
describe it.
someone with
Knowledge of
insider
the
knowledge.
situation that Quebec will get a hockey team.
Yeah, I think I've never gotten any sense
And
to
that's
the
all they would say.
contrary. I mean,
Dave, is that,
talking to people as high up as you can get, I've never gotten any sense to the contrary that the NHL, this is not like Ball Silly or whatever trying to keep a team out of Canada. This is
Right.
there are reasons for what they're doing right now.
basically what is going on here is, and if you remember, Winnipeg was not on the radar. I mean, they were on the radar in the terms of people. There was always talk about possibly going back there, but in terms of let's get a team, let's move something, it was not on the radar. And then at the 11th hour, all of a sudden, Atlanta was going to Winnipeg. That's
Yeah.
what's going to happen here.
It can. And you know what? The interesting thing about that was they kept saying Winnipeg can't get a team because the MTS Center is not an NHL building. And then
Right.
they did finally sort of settle on, all right, you know what? We're going to make some concessions here. If you
Yep.
do X, Y, and Z, we'll say it's okay.
Like the Barclays isn't a hockey arena, but it got a team.
Yeah,
Right.
and here's what I'll say about Winnipeg, and I've said this from the very beginning, and it's not what Winnipeg fans necessarily want to hear, but that team needs to be very successful, and they might need a new building to stay there a very long term. I mean, it's not impossible that team could be moved out of there. I hate to say it because I love the fans of Winnipeg, but I think that I do think that, I mean, that team is absolutely, there's no problem selling tickets, there's no issues there at all, but there are definitely. It depends. I mean, it depends. It depends on.
Well,
a lot
they
of
are going
things.
to move them out of that building when they play in the Heritage Classic.
Right, exactly. I mean, eventually, it's tough to say, right? It's very tough to say where this is going to go, but
You would have to think if the team gets relocated to Quebec City, it would have to be an Eastern Conference team, and then maybe would they expand by 2 to the Western Conference?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and all the talk of, I mean, it's been fairly quiet regarding the Coyotes and their situation over the last, few months. Pierre LeBrun from ESPN on Toronto radio this morning just said that there's expected to be an announcement at the end of the season of an arena in Tempe, Arizona, near Scottsdale, but it's going to be the Coyotes and Arizona State University who just started a Division I hockey program. So that puts to rest Arizona for a while because it's not going to be in Phoenix. It's not going to be sharing with the Suns. It's not going to be.
But they're not in Phoenix now. That's the problem. They need to be in Phoenix.
But I've been to that area, Dan. It's like the hockey fan base is in Phoenix and is in Scottsdale. Glendale is on the eastern side of Phoenix. It's a 45-minute drive through central Phoenix and through Glendale to get to the jobbing.com or the
So you're saying being closer to Scottsdale would be more convenient for everyone?
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and plus
A lot of people are already coming from Scottsdale now.
right.
They're going through Phoenix. It's definitely. It's more like the concept that I said about like the Devils before, that the New Jersey Devils shouldn't have been put in Newark. It's not a big deal, but they should have been put at the Short Hills Mall. Like that's where the Devils fans live, right? In that area.
Nobody could afford the Short Hills Mall. I don't know what you're talking about there.
What was that?
Nobody could afford the Short Hills Mall. They can't afford the rent.
Oh, I know, no, but that area, that's Devils fans, man. That is where they are. Like if you want to see Devils jerseys, walk around the Short Hills Mall. If you want to see,
but the NHL has problems with teams that play in malls, right? Right, Dan?
well. But that area, this is the same thing. Scottsdale is that area for the Phoenix Coyotes or Arizona Coyotes or whatever
But
you want
this
to
is
call
going
them.
to be the third area in Arizona. If this doesn't work, then we have to put Arizona to rest.
That's true. That's true. I don't disagree with that, and I think that, but I do think it will work. I think it will. And the NHL, this is a dug their feet in the sand situation with the NHL. That they're not going to lose that team.
But put all of this together. All of a sudden, this announcement comes out yesterday. This reported story, and I read the Bill Daley press release, and it didn't eliminate any possibility, but it was sort of boilerplate. There was no one way or the other there. But put that together with what Bill Foley, the prospective owner in Las Vegas, said around the All-Star break about the difficulty and all the hoops and ladders you would have to go through to get an expansion team. What it sounds to me like is that Quebec is going to be the place where a team is transferred, and they're slowing down the process to expansion, maybe to allow Seattle to catch up, and then you would have a Vegas and Seattle in a couple years, maybe a 2018-19 season. But to me, that sounds like a more realistic scenario than anything else.
I mean, I don't know why we're fighting. Look, this is nothing against the Coyotes fans, but why are we fighting for something that just isn't working? No matter how hard we try, it's not working there. So why wouldn't you just relocate Arizona to Las Vegas if you're so hell bent on going to Las Vegas and then expand to this? I still think Seattle and Portland are more viable options than anywhere else in the United States.
Because the league,
TV. It's the TV demographic.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you the NHL's reason is, well, it is the TV demographic. One, Phoenix is the 7th largest market in the country. And that is a lot of people, and the feeling is if you put the NHL around a lot of people, that's a good thing. That you'll create NHL fans, and you have seen a uptake of youth hockey in that area. You've seen everything, and obviously Austin Matthews is the exception. I mean, they're not all Austin Matthews coming out of there, but it's a sign of things that are going on. And the other thing is that Phoenix actually is important for Vegas. Like that, to have both those teams is an important rivalry. So that they want that rivalry to build. So they don't want to move one team to the other. They really see this as a growth market. They also they actually like Russ said, if they don't make it here, you could definitely make that argument, but you could also make the argument that they're making that they haven't had a fair shot yet. So they get the fair shot now. This is the fair shot. They get it in the right spot. They start out the America West building, which I used to fly into Phoenix all the time at that point. You can see that from the sky, as big, clear as day, right next to the airport. And then they moved to here, and now they're going to move to Scottsdale, which will be fantastic. It's a beautiful area, that area. I mean,
but if that's the plan, if that's what the plan is for the league, you're talking about, I believe, 3 top 20 television markets: Seattle, Vegas, and Phoenix in the league within the next couple years. So I mean, I think that's the direction they're going. That's the direction they're sort of manipulating towards.
Yeah.
And the situation in Carolina, I mean, like I said yesterday, Karmanos has been looking for a minority owner for a while. The team is in a rebuild. This is the optimum time to move them, not like when they had, when you had the upheaval of having your core players like Stahl and Ward locked up on long-term deals. These guys are now going to be gone. And you can, you have players who you have mostly a young group, so they don't have a lot of roots in Carolina, so they can pick up stakes and move if that's the direction that that the NHL sees for that franchise. And I just don't see this. I mean, I understand your point, Ack, but I don't see, just because they won a Stanley Cup in an odd year in 2006, that team is anchored to Raleigh, North Carolina for.
Hey man, look at the NFL. The St. Louis Rams won a title. Oakland Raiders have won a title. They've moved. If it's right for the team, if it's right for the league to make more money, they're going to do it.
Exactly.
Sorry, just got a text there. No, it does make sense. Let's get into someone just texted me that Alexander Semin is the leading scorer in the KHL playoffs right now. How about that? Throw that out there. Good old Alex Semin. All right. I want to get into I think we need to talk about the number. When I was a kid, there was a number that everybody talked about all the time, and that number was 1851. That was a big. Remember, this was the big number, 1851. That was the number you had to beat to break Gordie Howe's record. And when Gretzky did it, the whole hockey world stopped forever, and it was an incredible moment. And as our buddy Tom Laidlaw was on the ice for it. We talked to him recently. He was part of 1850, right?
Yeah.
He got an assist on 1850. So, but 1850, which tied the record. 1851 last night was toppled by no other than Jaromir Jagr, who now only has Mark Messier ahead of him, right? Yeah. So Mark Messier and Wayne ahead of him. Mark Messier's not that far ahead of him, if I remember right either, right? It's like 30 points, something like that, 40 points. Am I wrong about that? Check that out.
More, I think.
Yeah, okay.
He'll get it next year. So,
I mean, this is an accomplishment. I mean, and remembering Jagr played out of the NHL for a while in some of his scoring years, this is quite an accomplishment, and it is unbelievably impressive. I mean, what are your thoughts, Russ?
I'll tell you, it's an interesting career because obviously he was a superstar. Then we sort of looked at him as an entitled superstar. Then we looked at him as a declining entitled superstar. Then he left the NHL, and then he came back a different guy. And for everybody that says, "Well, what if he never left the NHL?" He wouldn't have gotten the record if he never left the NHL.
He had to leave.
When he went to the KHL, his work ethic improved because he had to skate more. And then when he realized he had to skate better, then he realized he needed to be in better shape. And then all of a sudden he became a workout guy. And then he came back to the NHL and really started becoming the player that he always could have been and just got to that next level. So I think that's the important thing with Jagr, and he really transformed himself into that. But I don't look at it like if he didn't play those years in the KHL, he would have the record, because I think he needed to do that.
I agree.
It was 1887 for Messier.
Yeah, so it's 36 points.
Okay.
I'll probably get that
that's-
next year sometime.
Yeah, next year for sure, I would think. Yeah, so that's just it's something else, and what he's done, basically as a player coach now, which is really what he is. It's just phenomenal, and what's happening with the Florida Panthers is awesome. This is a team that's still, they're starting to draw better. They still need to draw more than that, than they're drawing now too. This is another team that's in danger. This is the team that I always heard was going to Seattle. And that, but they might have their act together now. So, but we'll see.
Disappointed in Jagr's mullet? Because I am.
Yes.
He oversold that. He did oversell that.
Yeah, he did a big time.
Sometimes the sequel's not as good as most of the time. The sequel's not as good as the original.
No, exactly. And it's harder to grow a mullet when you're older.
It is.
It's difficult. It's difficult, but I appreciate the fact that he's trying, and he loves this whole thing. That's the great thing, is he actually loves his own folklore. Like he loves the fact that these guys dress in the Jagr jerseys and wear these fake mullets and all that stuff. It's great that a guy like this has the sense of humor, and he is. You've seen him in the locker room wrestle a guy of, even in Philly. He keeps things very light. He's very good. He's very good at perspective. I mean, he's one of these guys who's been through so much that he has perspective, and he has that kind of perspective, is very useful for teams and really healthy in this day and age. So I'm happy for him. Really happy for him.
We should note about that game last night too. Boston refuses to go away. They have lots of question marks in the blue line, but they keep scoring. And if they're scoring like this, they can beat a lot of teams right now. And you also have to give credit to the Panthers for coming back and getting a point out of that game.
I know. What a game that was. There were lots of really good hockey games last night to talk about. Let's start there though, because
let me just read off the standings, and then we can go into the games. Because right now, at the top of the Atlantic, it's Tampa Bay with 82. Florida and Boston at 81. In the Metro, obviously Washington's running away with it. The Rangers are at 82. The Islanders are at 79. And the two wild cards, Pittsburgh's at 76, Detroit is at 75, and Philadelphia is at 73. So to me, Boston winning last night, they're now 8 points ahead of Philadelphia. For ninth place. I don't think there's any way, unless Boston completely collapses, I don't think there's any way they're missing the playoffs.
Yeah, there's 2 games at hand there with the Flyers, by the way, so it's really a 4-point difference, Mike. It could be a 4-point difference, okay? So not really, but, I mean, obviously you got to win those games at hand, so it's only 4 points, really. I mean, I don't think the Bruins are going to the Bruins, the way they're playing right now, and they still have this tough schedule coming up. They have to go to the West Coast. They could lose a couple games on the West Coast, and that 4 points could go away. But it's hard to say that. I agree with. I am definitely coming around to your side of your way of thinking with the Bruins. I'm not saying I'm not. And I said that today, and this goes along with my article today, which is what I think are the best 5 acquisitions so far at the trade deadline. And what is always surprising about this to me is that these players tend to not be the ones we spend most of our time talking about. We talk most of our time talking about at the trade deadline are not these 5 guys. I mean, right now, and you guys can disagree if you want to. Here's my list. So we'll start at number 5 for dramatic sense of everything. Number 5, I actually have the Kings getting Vinny Lecavalier, which was as strange as that sounds, not a huge trade, right? But he has 11 points in 26 games. He's got 4 power play goals. He's got 2 game-winning goals. he's really been one of those things like he slotted in perfectly on that line and has helped balance them all out. And he's been a great locker room acquisition. He's excited to be playing. He's brought a lot of energy. I've talked to players out there who said his energy, because he was so frustrated by not playing, he's brought such a positive, like, this is my second, like a new chance at life type energy that everybody's loving.
I mean, if I'm going to be a nitpicker, I could say that this trade was made, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ahead of the deadline?
Yeah, it's not really a trade deadline trade. I do agree with you on that. The other 4 are closer to it. 3 are very much that. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I'm just saying that there were some other ones I thought about, but we'll go through the others and then you tell me if I missed one. For the Ducks getting Jamie McGinn, which is another really. I mean, we didn't talk much about Jamie McGinn getting traded. We talked about it possibly could happen, but he scored goals in his first 2 games for the Ducks. He's playing like 18 to 19 to 20 minutes a game. The Ducks are just virtually unbeatable. Last night, they lost an incredible game in the shootout. But the Ducks have who knew that this guy would just slot in perfectly, and he has.
Well, I mean, for people who saw McGinn in Buffalo, because he was playing like this for most of the season with the Sabres. He was going into his walk year. He came over as I think he was part of the O'Reilly trade, and he really fit in well with the Sabres. And he was, he mostly played a depth role, but then sort of moved up in the lineup. I think he had 14 or 15 goals when he was traded. And the funny thing was that he was probably the Plan B or Plan C option for Bob Murray, because more than likely he was looking at a Louis Eriksson or a Radim Verbata, and those situations didn't pan out because of injury and because of contract. So he was the fallback, and sometimes the fallback is the best course of action, and so far, so good. But the only thing is, it's tough to really evaluate these deals a week after. I mean, we can probably...
Oh, yeah, no, I know. I know it is. It's very tough, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's our job.
But McGinn fits more what the Ducks do. They're a hard hat and lunch pail kind of team. They're a blue collar team. They don't score a lot of pretty goals, and maybe adding a finesse player wouldn't have been the right fit for them. So a player like McGinn just really suits what they already have there.
He really does, and he gives them the depth that that team is already pretty deep defensively. So I wouldn't even have thought, if I'm that general manager, I wouldn't even thought I needed Jamie McGinn. But
they're scoring now with that defense, and the goaltending's been great. They're scoring a lot more now than they were scoring at one point like 1.5 goals a game. And now all of a sudden, if they score 3 goals a game, they're really hard to beat.
No question about it. Number 3, the Hawks get Andrew Ladd back. This is probably the biggest name that I'm putting on this list. Andrew Ladd was definitely one of the top 5 trade deadline names to look for. He was maybe one of the top 2 or so in there. People really, wanted to see him go back to Chicago. He has 3 points in 4 games for the Hawks. Feels like he never left, kind of thing. Still to be determined what he does in the playoffs will be a huge factor with him. But I think that that's a big one.
Well, and the fact is that could be the most impact move of any team, because he fits in on the number 1 line with Reeves and Hossa. I mean, other trades, McGinn is a depth move. Some of the other guys, LeCavier comes in as a specialist, as a power play guy, but Ladd is going to be in a top 6 role with the best center on that team. So, what he does is going to be accentuated.
Well, my next guy also is in the top 6 role, and that is the Penguins getting Carl Hagelin, which is, again, not maybe not a trade deadline trade for sure. He's played 21 games already.
What are your parameters of the trade deadline?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying. My article, to be honest, was the 5 best acquisitions this year. So I was actually these are this year. So I was going for the whole year. Like I didn't put Johansson in here, and I thought about it. I'm going off of this. What I'm, it's my show.
I think.
Okay. All right. Whoa.
You know me and my attitudes.
I think Rangers fans are upset that you didn't put Eric Stahl in there.
Well, we were going to talk about that in a second here. Hagelin, 13 points, 21 games. But what he did, similar to what you're talking about with Ladd, by being able to form another top line with Malkin and Kessel, has been a big part of the Penguins' turnaround, and perhaps could have even part of their saving their season here. So the Penguins might not make the playoffs if that trade isn't made. It's tough to say.
And the fact that in the middle of all this, with Malkin going out, I think he was out for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Hagelin was playing with Matt Cullen was filling in for Malkin between Kessel and Hagelin, and there wasn't a significant drop in the Penguins' play at that point. So his effect on the Penguins is addition of speed, which Russ and I and everybody on the show has been saying that was the problem with the Penguins, was that they were looking pretty slow of foot, and their defense was in question.
Yeah.
And, I think that was a great deal. I guess even a broken clock is right twice a day with Jim Rutherford.
There you go. Number 1, the Bruins getting Lee Stepniak. Now this is really early to say, but this is
I
one.
thought it was gonna be Butch Goring.
Yeah, he's the Butch Goring of this year. But and like I wrote in there, when the hell will we give Lee Stepniak some credit, some props around in the NHL right now? He has been very good for a couple of years now, and he's managed to continually just kind of fly under the radar to a degree.
Well, if you remember, Stempniak did this once before when he was traded from, I think it was Toronto to Arizona, and when Arizona they made a, I think it was the year that they made that run to the conference
finals, wasn't it?
It was.
He had scored a ton of goals with Arizona to get them to the playoffs. So I mean, he's usually a good performer late in the season, and he had a good year with the Devils. So I mean, I personally think that the Bruins gave up a little too much for guys like Lyles and Stempniak, but as long as it's converting into wins, I don't think they care much.
6 points in 4 games with the Bruins, an overtime winner last night. The Bruins have gone 3-0-1 with him in the lineup, and really have helped solidify them and made you guys a little bit more right than you were before. But we'll see what happens with them. But meanwhile, like Bodker has 1 point so far. For Colorado.
You did leave one out though.
Okay, which one did I leave out?
But now I have to ask you: is the criteria that they have to be a playoff contending team?
No, I mean not really. That is what I was thinking in my head, but I didn't write that, so no.
Okay, so that's what I want to find out. I wanted to see if I can get you on a technicality.
All right.
Patrick Maroon for the Oilers is killing it.
I thought about Patrick. I did think about. You're right, and that he would have been on this list definitely if they were a playoff team. I agree with you. And if you are going without the playoff thing, he definitely gets into this list at least number 5, if not 4. He has been incredible, and really, again, like a really strange pickup. But that's a great point, Russ. I mean, what is it about Patrick Maroon? Why is that working?
He's scoring down low. He's actually giving them a physical presence,
which they don't have.
And he's got 2 goals. They're dirty goals. He's got 4 points in 3 games. But he's winning the battle in the crease, and they previously didn't have anybody trying to even win that battle. And now he's gone in there and he's taken over that job, and that's helped that team a lot.
Yeah, and if you watch Edmonton, they are a very I guess this is
perimeter. They're a perimeter team.
They're a very pretty team. They're very skilled. But they're all on the outside. They're all trying to make these perfect, end-to-end rushes or go spinning around the offensive zone. They don't have anybody to muck it up in the corners. They don't have anybody to stand in front of the net. And if he does that, I mean, he's going to score a lot of goals because they have players who hit him the puck. I
would call them beautiful, if not enchanting. Like I would say. They are. No, but they Oilers. You're right, and you need to score dirty goals to be successful in the NHL. You need to have guys like this, Patrick Maroon, an ex-Flyer.
And that's been the thing against the Oilers for a number of years.
For a long time, yeah.
Too many of the same type of player.
Right.
I know we're going to be looking forward to July 1st. Probably from the middle of April till July. But I will bet you that if he doesn't re-sign in Los Angeles, that old Bruins GM Peter Chiarelli will try to bring Milan Lucic to Edmonton, because that makes all the sense in the world to bring in a big guy who will protect guys like McDavid, who will take some of the heat off of Taylor Hall, and he could be a top 6 force in Edmonton.
He's fast enough to play with the Islanders.
If he makes it to the open market, there's going to be a lot more interest. No offense to Edmonton, but there are going to be some big-time teams acquiring for his services.
Russ, do you think he's a fit there?
I do think he's a fit there, but I don't think he'll be available. I really don't. They will trade or do something with Marian Gaborik before they ever let Lucic out on the market.
Yeah, and apparently he loves it there, from all I've heard. Yeah. Like, he is very, very happy there. It's like, he just is loving life. I mean, it's hard not to love life if you're an LA King sometimes because just talking to players, I mean, you can live in Manhattan Beach, you can, it's beautiful every day. You're going to the arena, your team's a winning team, you got a chance to win the Stanley Cup all the time.
No pressure.
No pressure. I mean, yeah, it's really just hard to not want to be an LA King,
The scenery is beautiful.
The scenery is incredible. You might end up with Paulina Gretzky on an elevator, like I did in that building. Just Paulina and I. It was very funny moment. Like, just her and I, and it was right after all this stuff had come out about her, all these weird pictures on Instagram and everything like that. And I was like, so how you doing? I just decided, if you could sit there and be quiet, or you're with Paulina Gretzky, you might as well say something. Like, you know what I mean? You might as well just be like, when am I going to be alone with this woman? Ever. So I'm like tough stuff, huh? Social media is crazy. I said that right to her.
I was talking about the sunset in the ocean, by the way.
No, you weren't. No, there's no way you were.
So I'm sitting there and I'm saying to, I said, social media is crazy. She's like, oh yeah, you don't know the half of it. I'm like, yeah, well, just just be yourself, keep up the good work you're doing.
There's a ticking sound. I think you have a browser open there.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, it sounded like Darth Vader breathing.
Is that better?
I still have that on my phone.
Let me know if you hear it again.
No, it's still there.
It's still there.
Still there.
All right, I'll close this out altogether.
It's Kevin Allen trying to log on.
Do you have your grandmother there with an oxygen tank? Is that?
No.
No? Okay.
Are you hearing things like that?
No iron lungs in the area?
No, I'm not that bad.
It's still...
You're not hearing anything now, right?
I'm still hearing it.
Well, I don't hear it now.
It's gone.
I think it's just in your head now, Mike.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on to the games. A couple games last night. Before we get to the big one, which I want to talk about, Washington and Anaheim. I want to just briefly discuss the Flyers game because this is probably one of the biggest Flyers wins they've had in a few years.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Flyers played in I think their best game of the season, to be honest. They were all over Tampa, outshooting them 40-18. Really just skating like crazy, having a tough time finishing like the Flyers are apt to be, but still but finding ways. And then just, out of nowhere, like a ghost in the night, Gostisbehere scores 2 huge goals.
Rookie of the year, Shane Gostisbehere.
Not yet.
Not yet. If the Flyers make the playoffs, though,
today, he's the Rookie of the year.
No.
Russ, if the Flyers make the playoffs and he continues at this pace, is it possible?
But he's already slowed down a little bit, so it's like, what pace are we talking about? He's at a great pace, there's no question. But again, when you're talking about Rookie of the Year, just offensive numbers aren't the whole package.
That's fine. If we're going to dissect McDavid's defensive abilities, come on.
I mean, is he the most valuable rookie right now on a team? That's the question. I mean,
I don't know. That's arguable too. I mean, I can name you 3 or 4 that are just as valuable.
I mean,
if he ends up with 45 points, he has to at least be a finalist for Rookie of the Year.
It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee.
It's not, I mean, Jack Eichel scored his 20th goal of the season last
Right.
So I mean,
no, I mean, and all that. The thing about that you have to root for him is that this is a guy that no one thought would be in this conversation. All right, everybody else that we're talking about is basically maybe Panarin. Maybe we didn't expect him to be in the conversation, but everybody else that we're talking about, mainly Larson, McDavid, Eichel. These are guys we expected to be in this conversation.
Right, but if you associate being a contender for the Calder with being on a team that is contending for a playoff spot, then that eliminates Eichel and McDavid. I don't think
they're not eliminated.
That's not matter. No, there's 5 candidates. There's 5 legitimate candidates right now.
Right, McDavid, Eichel,
out there about
Gostisbehere.
Right.
So I'm going to throw this out about Gostisbehere. Every year the Flyers give out their awards, their local awards, for players of the year, and they have this group called the Bobby Clark Award, which the Bobby Clark Award is for the most valuable player on the Philadelphia Flyers. Is that Gostisbehere? You could argue it is.
Look, I know he's not perfect in his own end, but what he's done for this
but
team, you cannot be discounted.
You know what it is? It's one of those things where in the wins, he's tremendous, and in the losses, not so great. Like the other night was one of the worst.
Most players are like that, though.
No, but he did a terrible game. He still has terrible games. You're right. I mean, he has moments. And in Edmonton, he was really bad. But
He was really bad, but this was a great game for him. I mean, it was tremendous. He showed leadership in the locker room. He really has settled down the team. The team doesn't depend on him to the point where they're standing around watching to see if he's going to win the game for him, though, which is good for the team because that's something that they had done in the past with other players. I've been impressed with him. There's no question about it, but I can't just simply say because of his goals that's enough to give him the Calder. I won't go there.
They said 14 goals last night, and this is the statistic I'm sure they were throwing around everywhere, but the 14 goals that have either tied or given the Flyers leads in games, which is a really interesting thing.
It's a great stat.
Yeah, it's a great stat. But what I was impressed with last night is the first goal of the game last night, which I'm trying to find a good. If you guys can find a highlight of it,
which took a while.
Yeah, it took a while to get that goal. But what was amazing, and I was home watching the game at home, sick kid, sore throat, the whole 9 yards.
The first Flyers goal of the game.
The first Flyers goal, yeah. Just find a link that I can put up. That I know it's on the regular thing, but
I have it on NHL TV here.
Yeah. So can you? All right, we can try it this way.
Yeah, this might work.
Okay, so here's the first goal. We'll try it like this. See if this works.
Let me turn the sound down. We don't need the sound.
Yeah, nobody talked because the camera will cut to them.
Oh, okay, so here, it helps if let me put the sound up then. Let me put the sound up. Yeah, there we go. We're working here. All right.
All right, so you can see as that play. Now, the thing about that play that's amazing, okay, that from that angle, you can see Gossipbeer slowly creeping in, right? You can see him slowly moving his way in. From the other angle, if a lower down angle, you don't see him coming in at all, and you are shocked that he would even be there. Like, there's no real reason for him to be there. This is a typical. This is just what comes from really great instincts. So watch this. I can talk and put you guys on at the same time. So that angle I'm talking about there. Like, why is he there as a defenseman? Why would he be creeping in like he was creeping in? There's a lot. He just in this angle here it shows you. I thought, the pass just through. Wait a second. There's Gossipbeer. It really is just one of those things that you can't teach. He's got this really great instinct for moments to be, moments to get to the net, when to take those shots, and him being there. I mean, I don't think there's another Flyers defenseman, that would have been in that spot at that time.
And sometimes he uses that anticipation in the defensive end. I mean, I watched him a lot when Philadelphia came to Toronto a few weeks back, and he was in on the overtime goal, and he made a couple good defensive plays where his anticipation of stealing the pass from a Toronto forward was a key thing.
Yeah.
But he needs some time to develop his defensive game in his own end. He's not particularly strong. He's very quick, but he's not strong. I think he has trouble whenever there's traffic in front of the net. But he's an offensive force. And if you look at his stats, 37 points in 47 games. You look at Eichel, 45 points in 60, I think it's 66 or 65 games. I mean, he's almost caught up to Eichel in 20 less games. It's very
as a defenseman, I mean, these are incredible stats.
But the thing is, even if he's just an average defenseman, he's still gonna have a great career. He doesn't have to be an A+ defenseman.
No.
You can be a C defenseman, but when you're that gifted offensively, it makes up for it.
Yeah, he's not going to be Shea Weber. He could be Chris Tang. He could be, he could be a top end offensive defenseman, and as long as he's adequate in his own zone.
Could he be Matthew Schneider in his own end?
Well,
the thing about this is he has struggled. Pointed out plenty of times, and it's very true. He has struggled in his own end, but he has also gotten better in his own end, and he seems to be a very quick learner. Not as quick as maybe he wants to be or everybody else wants him to be, but I've noticed him not making some of the mistakes he made in the beginning of the year, or he made when he was up last year, particularly for a little while when he was up last year. When Russ, you pointed out when we were watching together, he really made a lot of mistakes last year. He did need the time in the AHL. I mean, I think that they played it right with him.
Sure.
I think his injury was helpful because, believe it or not, because he was able to build up his upper body a lot. And that was something that was really lacking. But when he couldn't work on the lower body because he was recovering from the knee injury, he was working on his upper body. And that actually really helped him a lot. And then when he came back from that, then he was more of a physical specimen than he was before. That's a pretty big deal. The other thing, though, about last night that's a little disconcerting for Tampa was their defense completely collapsed in that game.
You're right. How many giveaways? Direct giveaways.
I mean, one of those giveaways was right in front of the net. But even a guy like Hedman, in the middle of the second period, looked slow. And the one thing I remarked when it was 1-0, and I want to say it was just before the Flyers scored, Cooper was ridiculously trying to get his guys engaged in the game, was sort of clapping. He did everything but give them smelling salts.
Yeah.
And it was almost like he could tell that he was losing them.
It was really apparent on television too. And then he was really mad about the goal that Gosser there scored, saying there was interference, and it was really not even close to goaltender interference on the play.
It wasn't.
But he was just trying to get his team fired up. I felt like it was just more of the anger. And Cooper, again, he's a player-friendly coach, but he's a pretty good bastard when he wants to be. He can be really pretty tough on players too. So you're right.
That's Jonathan Drouin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but Cooper can't really, step into them that much. They had won 9 games in a row, so you can't.
Well, that's a great point. At the end of the game, Stamkos in the locker room, somebody asked him the question, "Hey, do you want to just sort of wipe the slate clean?" And I got to tell you, Stamkos, what is he, 25?
Yeah.
26.
He's a very worldly guy, and he looked at the reporter and he goes, "Why would I want to do that? We've won 9 out of 10."
Yeah, right.
He goes, "If you want us to wipe the slate clean just for this game and forget about this game, I'm with you." And he's right, and it was a great point, and this is why he's a really good leader and a good captain, because you don't want to forget about those other 9 games. You played great in those games.
He really is and you know what he really is interesting about him is he does remind me when he talks in interviews of Steve Yzerman.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's a fun. I know Yzerman is his GM and all that, but I just think that it's amazing to me that how similar they are personality-wise.
Yeah.
And and starting to be even on the ice, like Stamkos' defensive game is rounded out nicely as well. And it's not maybe where Yzerman's was, but it's not completely crazy either.
It took Yzerman a long time to become that complete player, if you remember.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I mean, I don't think that Cooper agrees with you in terms of him being that Yzerman two-way guy, because hence the reason why he's moved him to the wing over the last year and a half. Now, only in the last month or so has he moved him back to center. But it's very possible that when they go in the playoffs, he's going to move him back to the wing again.
Well, here's the thing about that.
That's not Cooper, though. I mean, I think 29 other teams in the league would play him at center.
Exactly.
No, I don't. See, this is the thing. And I talked to Cooper about this at length. I had like a few minutes with him during the Stanley Cup Finals last year, and I asked him why didn't you just put Stamkos at center and just leave him there? Like, why was he doing that? And he's a very cool guy, and actually will talk directly to you, like you're a peer. He's one of the more, you feel more comfortable with Cooper than most people in the league. And Cooper looked right at me and he's like, well, because if you're coaching a team, he's like, you're just doing what you need to do to win. He's like, and Stamkos is a really good player, and yeah, he could play the center, but if we need him, on the wing, I'm going to put him on the wing because we need him on the wing, not because I want to move him or not because I'm punishing him or anything like that. We just need him that point on the wing, and I know that whatever players in the NHL feel that they should be what they came in as, or center or defense. But I said if we need him on defense, we play him on defense. We're just putting him. I'm a coach. These are my players. I'm putting them where I think we have the best chance to win, and I'm not really thinking about where they want to play necessarily. It makes it sounds ridiculous when I say it because it sounds a little bit like obvious. Yeah. But at the same time, this really is what is happening, and I don't think this is a punishment for Stamkos.
No, I'm not saying it is either. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a punishment. I'm saying Cooper may very well believe that he's best placed on the wing, and that's where he benefits the Lightning the most. But you have to understand, the player wants to play center. He's played center since he was in midget. And now, with the fact that he could potentially be an unrestricted free agent in the summer, if this is a lingering problem, which I think it's going to be because he's been yo-yoed back and forth between center and right wing for the last couple of years, this is a contributing factor to Stamkos saying, okay, I'm going to look someplace where I can play center and I don't have to be yo-yoed back and forth. That's all I'm saying.
This is what I don't like about the Cooper method here. And John Tortorella subscribes to the same theory, and so does Alain Vigneault. Guy Lafleur never got moved. Mario Lemieux never got moved.
Right.
Now, Lemieux was horrible defensively for 3/4 of his career, and Lafleur was no great defensive shakes either.
Yeah.
And those guys didn't get moved ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean,
No, that's a really good point. There are definitely different coaching philosophies on this, that if you're having problems defensively, you've got to fill that in a different place, not move Stamkos to fill that spot, not make Stamkos more. In a way, he used Stamkos as a checker a lot last year, and that was, people were like, that's crazy, but he's said many times he's one of our better checkers. If you put him in that role, he's just a talented player. He can do whatever he has to do. Now, whether he wants to do that or not is another question.
And he also used Stamkos to draw away the opposition's top checkers, so that opened up the triplets to play against like secondary players.
So what he's doing is what I like about the situation there is, he is not trying to be Steve Eisner. He's not trying to be the general manager of the team. He's trying to coach the team. And the general manager could be like, oh, you need to play this guy there because of this, and I want him to sign him and all that stuff. But he's just saying, these are the players I've been given. I'm going to put them in whatever order I think I need to put them in to win. And you might disagree with me. The player might not be happy, but the players want to win at the end of the day. And Stamkos, who won a Stanley Cup last year, probably wouldn't have been complaining about playing the wing, winning a Stanley Cup. I mean, I'm sure Stamkos, I've heard he wants to play center. We've heard that many times. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't really know the answer to this, but I'm always very curious how much that really matters to him. Like deep down, what does he really think? Is he like, I am leaving because I'm not playing center? I don't think that's the case.
No, but here's the thing. I think it's a short-lived thing where he'll play what you need him to play if they're going to win the Cup. But if every year they're not winning the Cup and he's playing out of position, it will wear on him.
Sure.
It will.
And when you have the opportunity, and he is a good teammate, he is a good leader, and he will acquiesce to the organization's demands or their wants to win. That's not in question. But when it comes time to for him testing the open market and having the ability to A, be the highest paid player in the NHL, and B, playing the position that he wants, those things will matter.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, and this kind of coaching is why Jaromir Jagr is not in Philadelphia, right? I mean, this is the exact this kind of coaching when Jagr wanted specific things, that he wanted to play a certain spot, wanted to play on the power play, wanted to be a top 6 guy. At the time, Laviolette said, I can't promise those things to you. I'll use you there when I've used you in the past, but so some players are that way. Some players, it matters enough to them to do it. I just don't know that it does with him. We'll find out. I mean, we'll definitely find out. It's a great story. I can't wait. Let's get into the and then Gospier's second goal, by the way, just crazy one-timer.
That was great.
One-timer as you'll ever see. And they had to be that way because Vasilevsky looked like he was going to be one of those nights where it wasn't going to be scored on. He had one of those. He was having one of those great nights, and they
had making great saves. He
really was.
As a result of the way the Lightning were playing defense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, there was a 2-on-0 giveaway early in the game that was crazy. You saw that? That was nuts.
Vasilevsky made 6 or 7 10-bell saves.
Yeah. He is really unbelievably quick, and that they might have. They might have the best goalie tandem in the league. It's hard to really say, but they have two. They have 2 number 1 goalies. Cam Talbot, by the way, was Player of the Week last week. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so
was Kari Ramo in the top?
He wasn't in the list this time, but he has been in it before.
He was the best goalie of the week on the injured reserve.
Yes, for sure. Let's get into the Stanley Cup final that will be super exciting, but probably no one in the NHL marketing world wants. The Washington Capitals and the Anaheim Ducks. This is as you watch it, you're like,
TV blunder. It would be.
Oh my gosh, you want it to be? I mean, the NHL has been spoiled a lot lately. I mean, having Chicago and LA in there every year is not a bad thing. The Ducks are, I covered the Ducks Senators final, and that was really poorly attended by media. Really just completely, and that was a Canadian team, but
I think if you have the Capitals in it, you'll still be okay.
I can tell you a quick little story about
if it's Lightning and Ducks. Oof.
That Stanley Cup. They and this was pre Wyshynski, so he can't get mad at me. But when Yahoo was covering that Stanley Cup, there was a reporter there that was barely engaged and almost didn't even care that he was there. My reporter was pretty much telling me the whole time, and I just, to me, it was horrible because hey, this is a Stanley Cup. And that was when Yahoo used to call themselves Y Sports.
Right. Why be there?
Huh?
Why be there?
Yeah. And I'm glad they moved away from that because that was just it was bad coverage. They had the wrong guy there, and luckily they don't suffer from that anymore. But that was a tough one. That if you weren't into hockey, really into it, and you didn't have somebody covering it or an outlet to read, you probably didn't pay a ton of attention to that Stanley Cup.
Well, I went. My quick story about that is I was in Ottawa, and one of the things I like to do because I'm just like I love to travel. I love cities. I love to learn about the history of the cities and stuff like that. This is all part of my thing. Not a lot of people do that. A lot of people just hang out in their hotels all day or whatever. But I will. The NHL city when it goes into a new city, usually, the city will usually do something. They'll either throw like a little media brunch, which people will go to because there's food. But but in Ottawa they threw a media tour of the city, and I said, okay, cool. So I'll go to the media tour. I didn't know really anything about Ottawa as a city, besides the fact it's the capital. The history of it I really was not aware of. So I got there, and there was a big. I walked out, and there was a big tour bus in the front of the hotel, like there always is. Media tour, little white sign on the side, NHL media tour. I'm like, good. I got on the bus. I'm like, I was running because I was like only like 5 minutes to go. Get my spot on the bus. I walked in, and I was the only person on the bus. and the driver was there. There were two tour guides there, and they were like, I'm like, and I said, when's the bus leave? And he's like, pretty much now. I'm like, all right, where's everybody? And they got, well, I don't know. I guess they didn't come.
The world's biggest limo.
I felt bad. I'm like, at that point, you're like, okay, I'm gonna get a personalized tour.
Heck, when I was a manager of a movie theater, if one person came in the show started at 10 o'clock and one person came in at 9:55, I wrote them a pass and told them come back because it wasn't worth it to keep the employees around to have one person come in and watch the movie.
Man, I would have been pissed if you did that to me.
I would have been mad at you too. Screw you.
Oh my gosh.
The general manager was the one who told me to do it.
I would have been. I never would have gone there again. I would have been like, what the hell, man?
I would have given you the Jim Kelly treatment. I would have.
So the long story short, I got, if that's at all possible at this point, I got on the bus, and the guy and the woman were great, and they took me around. I learned all about Ottawa. I had a beaver tail, which is basically a funnel cake basically a version of funnel. Yeah, that's all it is a funnel cake. And they're like, hey, you want a beaver tail? I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, it's just funnel cake. And then they took me down to, in the winter, this is frozen. This is where people skate. I'm like, cool, that's great. So they showed me, and it was a blast. And I had a really nice. I exchanged phone numbers with the people. I'm like, yeah, you guys are really nice. If you're ever in Philly, let me know. And I felt it was nice, but it was like that was how under-attended that Stanley Cup final was. It was very strange. So completely weird. But let's talk about the game from last night. It did live up to its billing for sure. This was a good game, and I posted it was a good game, and people were okay with me doing so.
I didn't admonish you. That's good.
Yeah.
I didn't get destroyed for saying I was enjoying watching the game.
I approved. I was also doing other things too. So.
Yeah, no, it was something else. It was a huge amount of talent, and the shootout was. I mean, everything down to the shootout. It went to a shootout. You really wish they could have played forever. You realize if these guys played in a series, it would be incredible. We would have 3 triple overtime games probably between these two teams, because they do play solid defensively, and they play both teams goaltenders had an incredible games. Holtby was great. Gibson was great. Holtby's saves in the shootout were just sick. Crazy saves. The one I'll show you that I have, but here it is. No, I'll bring it up. But here it is right now. So this is incredible. This was on Silverberg. Holy cow! What a save this was. Let me put this up here for you guys. This is just silly. So this is the end of it. You'll see it in a second here. Bring it back here. Here it comes. So this is Jacob Silverberg. I mean, sometimes goalies throw their glove up there, they catch it, low down, and then keep their glove going high, so it looks like they actually caught this up high. This was how quick this was. That was up there when he caught it, which was.
So I got a question.
Crazy.
How many shooters were there in this one?
There were only 3 apiece.
Okay, because did Holtby really take a drink of water before and after every shot? That's crazy.
He does that. He does
He
that.
drinks constantly. I watched the
He does the water thing. You ever see that?
Oh yeah, where he lets the drops fall. Yep.
He follows one drop of water out of his water bottle to focus. He's been
Yep.
doing it since Hershey. The first time I saw it, I was like, "What the heck is this guy doing?" And he's like, "It's a focusing thing for him."
I was gonna
I
say,
taught it to my daughter, who's a soccer goalie, and she does it. She'll do it with a blade of grass. She'll reach down and pick up some grass and drop. She loves the idea too. She just thinks it's a cool thing, so she's done it. And other people have been like, "What is she doing?" I say, "Well, she got that from Braden Holtby, you know."
I do that when I play golf. I find a piece of grass in between the ball and where I want it to go, and that's where I focus when I line up. I do it every time I play.
Right
Every swing.
I thought he might have been emulating Triple H in wrestling. You know how he spits the water out. So.
Yeah, but this was the move. The goals were incredible. I mean, it should pretty much at this point be illegal for TJ Oshie to take shootouts. Like it's pointless. Goalie should just concede.
I mean, do you realize that Anaheim? I think in the last 22 games they're 21-1.
Yeah.
I mean, to look at the team that is how they're playing now as compared to the way they were in the first couple months. They were behind Toronto in the standings. They were dead last, and it looked like they could never score more than 2 goals a game. And now it's a complete reversal.
How long would a shootout last if you could only use TJ Oshie on one side and Franz Nielsen on the other? Would it go on for like a day?
It's crazy. And the crazy thing about both of them is they both have so many moves. It's not just they have these, and TJ Oshie looks so crazy relaxed taking shootouts. It's sick. It's just he just comes in and he's like chewing gum when he comes in. He's like chewing gum. He's got to make this move to do.
If you're a goalie, the only thing you could do is try and disrupt his timing, and I would come way out of the blue paint and challenge him and swap my stick at him, and that's probably your best chance.
Yeah, I think poke checking is your best shot. Yeah. I mean, just a really crazy poke check too, like you said, like really out very far.
Throw him off.
You got to throw him off because he's going to. If he takes a shot, it's going in. You got to keep him from being able to take a shot. He just has, and what's amazing to me is that I mean, Franz Nielsen's great too, but that not many people have been able to do what he does. He is that's the incredible thing. Not many people are so incredible at the shootout thing that like he is. It's just
there's him, Jokin, and Nielsen. They're on a different level.
Yeah, they're on a totally different level, and so it's. But what a game! It was back and forth. It was exciting. It was all that we want from these two teams. I mean, the Capitals are just they look like a team primed to win a cup. They just do to me. They really have that feeling. And I know they've had problems in the playoffs before, but this Capitals team is totally different.
There's a lot of doubt though with both of those teams, with Anaheim and Washington. I keep hearing the whispers. Well, Anaheim's playing great now, but can they beat Chicago? And Washington's playing great. But, like, can they beat the Rangers? Like, there's still a lot of doubt for these teams as good as they look.
Right, because of history. And I grant what Eck is saying. What the heck is that? I grant what Eck is saying is that, this team is different. They have Oshie. They have Justin Williams.
But Oshie's not been a playoff performer.
No, I know. But
in the playoffs.
That was my point, Dan, is the fact that they still haven't proven a thing, and that they have to get by the Rangers, or they have to actually do it to make people believe because they've, and I hate the word sometimes, but it's applicable here. They've choked so many times that you can't say, oh, they're past that, because until they actually do it, they're not.
That's fair. This looks like a different team, though. But we've fallen for this trap before. Look, I've fallen for the St. Louis Blues trap many times, where it's like, this is the year, then they fall on their face. But let's just not assume they're going to be playing the Rangers in the second round, all right? Let's not get carried away there.
Let's just say something. I participate in a playoff fantasy hockey pool. I'll be hesitant to draft Capitals, even though I'm sure a lot of people. No, you don't, because you can hedge your bet. You can hedge your bets and say, okay, I'll go for Rangers or I'll go for somebody else. I mean, until they prove what.
Oh, it's a full draft.
It's a full draft, yeah.
Okay, because there's one I do where you can only take one player from each team for the playoffs, and it's cumulative. It's fun.
Yeah, we have like a bidding. It's like a bidding pool type of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so and we've done it for 15, 20 years. But yeah, you have to actually figure out like what team is going to go to the final and then get the key players from that team. And I don't know. I mean, everything indicates that Washington is going to be a team that, not that they're guaranteed, but that they're the favorite. But the favorite doesn't always win, and they have a history. And Holtby is a great goaltender, but until they actually do it, I'm a skeptic.
Fair.
Yeah, it's very fair.
The problem is they've failed in the playoffs so much that their regular season has become meaningless. Their entire season, their entire success is now evaluated what they do in the spring. It's unfortunate, but that's where they are.
And Anaheim, like Washington, Game 7 against Los Angeles, Game 7 against Chicago.
Right.
They haven't reached the final in spite of having a number of great teams since their victory in 2007. So similarly, they're in that area where I don't know whether I'd take a risk on Ducks, just like I wouldn't take risks on San Jose Sharks. All they've proven is they can't win when it counts.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and at the end of the day, I think the Ducks' regular season now is more meaningless than the Capitals is, because I do think the Capitals over the last couple of years, although they've had trouble in the playoffs, they have also addressed those issues during the year and gotten better at those things. Like they are a much more well-rounded team now. They can play defense a lot better than they used to be able to play defense. They can come back from behind better than they used to be able to come from behind. They've actually worked out a lot of things in the regular season. Whether they can translate to the playoffs or not probably depends on Holtby at the end of the day.
Well, it's a dual thing because no one really talks about it, but it's not like Barry Trotz has gotten far in the playoffs either.
Yes.
No.
And we all love him as a coach, and he's a great guy, but he's still proven that way too.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And having followed him a lot, and obviously in Nashville, he his playoff teams, they would struggle for sure. They would have issues, but they also were knocked out usually by very good teams. And the Predators were knocked out several times by the team that won the Stanley Cup. That's something the Predators have like a history of, essentially, of having happened. So we'll see. I mean, this will play out quickly. But let's go to the NHL Lottery Simulator.
Woo!
Everyone's favorite. This is the Will Toronto. Will Mike get the point part of the show.
I'm nervous.
Picking the winner is the Buffalo Sabres. How appropriate. Just one things I can't discuss. The Buffalo Sabres are the winner of the draft lottery today. And let's move to the next. The next winner is the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Whoa, All-American.
I know, here we go. And followed by the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, there's an American jet on that logo, so there you go.
It's an American Jet. Mike's not happy with this result.
Good. They'd be awfully good if they got the first pick. They really. Can
you imagine? Buffalo would be awfully good. I mean, that would be talk about having your dynamic duo in place. Like everyone wants to have their Taves and Kane or their Malkin and Crosby. Yeah. They would have it.
Columbus needs to finish in the top 3 too. They need one of those players.
Yeah, I would like to see Columbus. If I was to pick a team, if I were to pick a team on this list, like looking just when I look through this whole of the possible teams that could win this thing, and who it would do the most for, it's hard. You'd have obviously Arizona is the first place I want him to go. I mean, I really do want that to happen.
And second is perfect for Columbus because Jarmo Kekalainen will definitely take a fin at that point.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. It's like he'd be licking his chops. They pick Puljujarvi or Line A. I mean, that would be perfect for him.
Can you imagine Puljujarvi?
If they have that pick, though, they have to take the center. The Blue Jackets need a center.
Yeah, they do.
But after Matthews, it's 3 wingers. Those are the 3 best prospects.
Oh, Line A's not center?
No, they're both wingers.
Oh, I thought he was a center.
Puljujarvi and Kachuk are all wingers.
Never mind. Okay, you take the best fin available then. I thought I could have swore Line was a center. That's my bad.
Yes, exactly the best.
I mean, I'd like to see Winnipeg. I think it would be a great thing in Toronto. Obviously, it would be a great thing in Winnipeg.
Anyone but Edmonton.
Anyone but Edmonton, basically. I guess you're right, pretty much. And then some of the other teams, I don't know. But I think that it'll be interesting. I can't wait. Obviously, the draft lottery is exciting, so that'll be a fun time.
That's perfect for Edmonton. It would force them to take Chychrun at 5.
Matthews out there. I'm sorry, Dan. What did you say?
I was just saying, if Edmonton got the 5th pick, it would force them to take Chychrun.
Or your Levy. It's not a guarantee.
I'm saying it would force them to take a defenseman. Yeah. It would take it out of their hands.
Yeah, but watch, Dan. They'll take Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they'll have to take a defense. I mean, Edmonton's got to take a defenseman in this draft.
No, Edmonton never has to take a defenseman.
I know. Or they have to actually trade somebody.
No.
Go out of the way to trade.
Collect all those players, and they're going to keep drafting centers until they have 27 centers.
I want to see Edmonton get this pick, and I want the Ekman-Larson rumors to begin. Like, I think that would be something else that we would talk about. Russ always shakes his head and thinks we're ridiculous for bringing this up, but I don't think it's ridiculous.
Ekman-Larson stinks.
It has nothing to do with that. See, you guys, it's hard to put this point home, but I'm just telling you, it is a losing proposition in the long run to make that deal. It is.
Yeah.
I think the most realistic of the teams trading out of number one scenarios would be Toronto if they got the number one pick and Arizona offered their pick wherever they are, top five. If they finished in the lottery but not number one, or maybe finished sixth or seventh, wherever they finished, and Dylan Strome for the number one. I think Toronto might do that actually.
No.
No, I don't.
See, I wouldn't do that. I would do Ekman-Larson for the pick. I wouldn't do that.
No, Austin Matthews is Toronto will keep Austin Matthews. They will never trade the top pick.
They need a center too, though. The Toronto needs a center too.
Yeah, but what do you think Dylan Strome is?
If Toronto gets the number one pick, Don Cherry he'll die if they don't take a Canadian. Like, he's still on this bandwagon.
No, he won't.
Nylander that they should have taken Nick Ritchie.
But Russ, we know what's going to happen is he's going to make sure that Austin Matthews gets selected for the Canadian Olympic team.
Right.
If Toronto paid
It'd be great if Toronto takes a Finn. Now I want him to take a Finn.
If Toronto gets the first pick and trades away Austin Matthews, I will totally lose my mind.
They would keep the pick because they need a center.
I'm saying more than likely
they do, but Don Cherry will lose it. He will.
But Don Cherry's not the GM though, so
more than likely they wouldn't. What I'm saying is if Arizona would have to overpay to get Austin Matthews.
Of course.
That would mean Dylan Strome, who if the Leafs were picking third, they would have taken him over Marner. It probably their first round pick, and maybe a kid like Christian Dvorak.
All right, Russ.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Why would I do that when Matthews will play immediately and Dylan Strome's not ready? Neither is Dvorak, and Dvorak's a nice player. He is.
Russ, if Phoenix, if Arizona, or Scottsdale, whatever you want to call them, has the second pick in the draft, and Toronto has the first pick.
Yep.
Is there any chance that Dylan Strome plus that pick and something else would make that move to get Austin Matthews?
I don't think so.
Either. And if they do it, I'd be after all these years of dying of people complaining about them not getting the first pick overall. If they actually had the first pick overall and traded it, I would lose my freaking head.
I can't see Toronto trading out of the first pick.
Think of that though. Dylan Strome and Puljujarvi.
But it doesn't matter because if you get Matthews, you could insert him directly into the lineup. He plays immediately. None of the other guys probably play immediately.
And plus, they have so many other good prospects right now.
How much will the World Cup of Hockey play into that? If Austin Matthews goes to the World, say Austin Matthews does get picked on the under-23 team, which I think he will. I agree with you. All right. And say he gets picked on that team, and he comes in there and he has a really subpar tournament, just like he has a couple points here and there because he's playing on third or fourth line. Does that change anything, Russ?
Nope.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, he's starting in the NHL next year.
Right, but if he comes in into that tournament and has a great tournament like we talked about, then it just for the.
But it doesn't affect. This is after the draft. It doesn't affect his draft.
Will he play in the World Championships? Do you think?
Yes.
No. You think so?
I think there's a chance he will.
Yeah, I think he would too.
You think he would risk it going into the draft?
I don't think there's a risk there. I think
neither.
Injury risk?
It's always possible.
You can't put guys in bubble wrap. He's the first pick no matter what. But if he gets picked to the World Championships, he'll probably play.
He's a first overall, even if he blows out an ACL in the World Championship.
Doesn't matter. Yes.
No, I'm making him play with knee braces on though, preventively. But yeah, I think he would play. There are players that do that. There are players that do that, play with knee braces.
He could be out for the rest of the season now and part of next season, and he's still the first overall pick.
Yeah. We cannot even worry about it. All right, guys, that was a great show as always. We appreciate it. Thanks for going a little bit long today. Sorry for the delay in starting. As you know, 1 o'clock means 1 o'clock. We're trying to make it better than that. I'm sorry, I got to do better. I got to get more on top of things now. And with any luck, Google will be there. We'll be there. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you tomorrow.